Let's make a high protein lasagna soup with ground chicken breast. If you follow my stories, you know that I made this the other day, and the amount of DMs I've gotten asking me for this recipe. Preface this by saying I have never made this before. I saw a few different recipes online and I took little bits and pieces of each one. Kind of like an intuitive cooker. I like to cook the way I think things should be cooked and taste. First up, I started by browning my ground chicken breast. I added salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, garlic. Then I added in a box of this strained tomatoes here. Okay, in hindsight, I probably would have added less of this. Stir that in. I felt like I had too much broth. I also added an entire jar of the carbone marinara, which is my favorite. And then I took 1.5 jars full of water. So I just filled it up with water and put it in there. I would probably have eliminated a little less of that water. I added a can of crushed tomatoes and then lots of salt and pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. You need lots of seasoning to get this back up to par. Instead of adding water, I probably would have done chicken broth, but I didn't have it. So I added the better than bouillon, like 2 tablespoons of that, a bunch of Italian seasoning. I also added probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of honey. Here's how I cook. I taste. I keep tasting until I feel like it tastes right. I thought it needed a little more tomatoey, so I added some tomato paste. And then I broke up some lasagna noodles, and I realized breaking them one by one is a little bit more efficient. I probably did like 6 noodles in total. A handful of fresh basil. And then I let it simmer. And in order to make this super high protein, I decided to make like my version of ricotta. Cottage cheese obviously is much more protein than ricotta, so I took about a cup of cottage cheese. I took some garlic, some fresh basil, some salt, some pepper, and I blended it all together. And let me tell you, this was actually freaking delicious. It tasted creamy, basil-y, garlicky. I also had this idea to make these like lasagna croutons. So I cooked 2 lasagna noodles. I added some of my tomato sauce. I put some seasonings on it because it was just like plain tomato sauce. And then I added mozzarella and sharp cheddar, the types of cheeses I would add in a regular lasagna. And a little Parmesan Reggiano. And then I actually added some garlic salt, so it's kind of like a garlic bread lasagna, I guess. Garlic salt can do no wrong. Then I went back to the sauce and added a couple little handfuls of some Parmigiana Reggiano. I said that wrong. I wanted it to kind of bind it a little bit, make it a little bit thicker. I broiled them to get them nice and brown and gooey on top. Now it's time to plate. I added some mozzarella and sharp cheddar, and then my cottage cheese / fake ricotta mixture. It was so good. A little Parmesan, a little fresh basil. And we can't forget our lasagna croutons for our lasagna soup. It truly was a masterpiece. I think this would be much better for like a fall comfort meal. My goal was high protein, so lots of chicken. The cottage cheese mixture adds more protein. It was so freaking delicious. I'm probably going to have leftovers right now. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Bye.